Man piloting a plane crashed into the deep sea. Just as he was about to suffocate, he struggled to the surface. Then he began to gasp for air, but as soon as he turned around, he was surprised to see two of his comrades. They were clinging to a life buoy, having almost exhausted all their strength. Brian quickly scanned the area. Besides the wreckage of the crashed plane, he also spotted two inflatable rafts. He struggled to drag the rafts over, and finally pulled his two comrades aboard. At that moment, Brian was utterly stunned. No matter where he looked, there was nothing but endless ocean. Not a trace of land in sight. It would be nearly impossible for a rescue team to find them. Pete and Joe instantly fell into despair. To survive, Brian quickly checked the supplies in the survival kit. Inside were 2 bars of chocolate and 3 bottles of mineral water. If each person ate just a small piece of chocolate and drank a small sip of water every day, they should be able to hold out for 2 weeks without a problem. They drifted aimlessly across the Pacific, waiting to be discovered by a rescue team. At night, the temperature plummeted. The 3 could only curl up on the raft, hugging their arms tightly, to sleep. But then, a strange thumping sound startled them awake. Upon closer inspection, they saw a shark circling them incessantly. The 3 spent the entire night on edge. Fortunately, the shark did not attack. The next morning, Brian spotted a rescue plane flying across the sky. Without hesitation, he fired a flare. At the same time, Brian hurriedly poured green dye into the sea, trying to create a conspicuous mark on the azure water. But the plane was flying too high. From up there, they looked like ants on the water's surface. No matter how hard they tried, it was useless. Brian refused to give up, and fired another flare. The result was still in vain. Watching the plane grow smaller and smaller in the distance, the 3 men's spirits plummeted instantly. To make matters worse, the chocolate bar was nothing but an empty wrapper. Pete admitted he hadn't been able to resist his hunger the night before. This sent Brian into a rage. By the 3rd day, there was still no sign of the rescue team. The 3 were so starved they could barely stay upright on the raft. Brian began to cry, filled with regret, until, at noon, a pigeon suddenly landed on the raft. Seeing this prey that had walked right into their trap, Brian slowly reached out, waiting for the right moment, and snatched the pigeon's leg. The 3 of them then pinned down this meal together, but the taste was nauseating. They hadn't eaten for 3 days and nights, yet the next second, they vomited it straight into the sea. The taste of the pigeon meat was simply unbearable, so Joe tossed the pigeon meat into the sea as bait. After waiting anxiously for 5 hours, they finally caught a big fish. Seeing the food before them, Pete, sitting nearby, felt deeply guilty for sneaking a bite of chocolate. Seeing this, Brian and Joe didn't scold him. Instead, they invited him to share. And so, they barely managed to survive until the 18th day on raw fish. All 3 had suffered severe sunburn, so they could only huddle in the shade to avoid the scorching sun. Photos of their families became the only thing keeping them going. At night, the waves roared incessantly, slamming into them time and again like a giant beast. They could only cling desperately to the raft and pray silently. Perhaps heaven truly heard their pleas. After the storm, all 3 miraculously survived. Then a light rain began to fall from the sky. The 3 immediately opened their mouths to catch this life-saving rain, and collected the water to store as a reserve. Although their freshwater problem was temporarily solved, they hadn't caught a fish in days, so the 3 turned their attention to sharks. Brian seized the moment, grabbing a shark's tail decisively and